The cultural preferences of the three races identified that due to the strong feelings of white women only procreating with white men and colored women only procreating with colored or white men, that the natural population of blacks significantly decreased, the whites remained the same, and the colored population increased. In 1802, blacks outnumbered whites by 3 to 2. The colored population represented only 8% of the population, but by 1870, the three races were virtually equal. However, by 1911, the black population was reduced to a mere 20%, and by 1943, the colored population had reached 55%, with the Cayman Islands having proportionally fewer blacks than any other territory in the region.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome and thanks very much. Absolutely, it's a privilege to sit and facilitate. And today, as we invite you, I don't do it often, but I'm insisting almost. Please go to YouTube and see what we have assembled in our studio today. I'm going to tell you more about it, but just go. You'll see why I'm excited. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome. Are you on YouTube? Well, if not, tell your friend go. It is only because of the opportunity to look at around the table and see two things, the now and the future, and the presence of these young, wonderful individuals joined by supportive, caring, loving, nurturing parents who ensure that through their endeavors, their investment, we have not just an amazing future, we have an engaging now. So, Ms. Gina Lawrence, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you so much for reaching out and for allowing us to celebrate with you, for allowing us to be reminded. And I think it's timely, not just because of what we're going to chat about, but Jamo from the Youth Services Unit has been on 2 days back to back. Yesterday talking about the Proud of Them Youth Awards. and the notion that we have so many young, engaged, just delightful, if I may say, young people who remind us of what we're doing, why we're doing it, why it's important to do it. And I feel great. I figure if I get older, I'm going to have a good society if we make it now. So thank you. Well, Miss Christina, how are you? Pull that mic a little bit closer.
Very good, thank you.
And,
very good. Very happy
what's
to
that?
be here. Thank you for having us.
I'm honored. I hope that I will not just show my love and enthusiasm, but the respect and appreciation. Set the stage for us, Miss Gina.
Sure. So we have 2 swim teams, the Cayman Islands Stingray Swim Club, who have on the sky shirts, and then we have the 7 Mile Swimmers who have on the orange and white shirts. And we joined forces and went to North Carolina last week and represented the Cayman Islands at the Tar Heels Summer Swim Meet in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And these young people just blew everyone out of the water. They did incredibly well, and they far exceeded our expectations. And we just wanted to highlight their achievements because they worked hard for this moment.
And this is, we think of the Tar Heels, we think of basketball. Now, we recognize, as you said, that they exceeded your expectations, and I think children live up to what we expect. We expect great things, we'll get it, and we should always. It's not just parental sort of pride, Ms. Christina. This is national. This is speaking to a group of young people. To you, what would you like to share?
Well, I think these opportunities are critical for their growth as swimmers to develop, because it was the opportunity to swim in a 50-meter pool, which I think around this table nobody had. Kylan had. Kylan's been in a 50-meter pool, but the others hadn't, and it gives them that opportunity and to get times in a long pool, to meet other swimmers, to see the fun that comes with traveling, representing your country, being part of a sport that is now the national sport of the Cayman Islands. So we love to, both as a parent and as a director of SMS, to give those opportunities to all the members in the clubs. And then the way we came together was to be able to take Stingray with us on this trip, because they didn't have, I think, quite enough swimmers to justify going on their own. So Coach Darren just took everybody under his wings and looked after everybody.
That collaboration, cooperation, we can be competitive because it will sharpen our skills, but once we pool our resources, in economies of scale, it makes it that much easier. Before we go into the break, through you as parents and the chaperones, and could we maybe start and go around the table and talk to our young
Absolutely.
people? Would that be all right? Miss India, would you be okay with opening our discussion? How are you? Welcome. And I would want each one, just say what you want. If you want to introduce yourselves, hi, my name is Sterling. I love chocolate. No, just kidding. Miss India.
Hi, my name is India. I love animals, and really, it was just really exciting. I was quite nervous when I went into my first 50-meter pool, but it turned out that everything was okay.
Wasn't it? Here. Stella, welcome.
Hi, I'm Della, and I really like chocolates. And when I went into the 50-meter pool, when you stand there on the diving board, to me it just feels like it's the same length. So I just treat it as a 25-meter pool.
There you go. Perception and perspective. Princess Fiona.
Hi, I'm Fiona. I like food, but I'm the slowest eater in my family. It was very cold in the pool, really cold, and the blocks were rough, but I had fun.
Huh. That's so key. I listen to the Olympians now, and from the gymnasts to those, they say they're having fun, they're enjoying it. Mr. Kylan, what about you?
Hello, I'm Kylan. I love food and sleep, and most importantly, exercise. And that meet first time in an indoor pool, and it felt different.
Yeah. Did it taste any better? Any worse? You like
one
food,
one guy was talking about how the pool tastes a bit bitter, and we were like, what?
It does. Sorry. Selena. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, my name is Elena, and I definitely love chocolate. And I really loved swimming in a 50-meter pool because it was my first time and it was really exciting. And I definitely liked the wedges on the blocks because I've never had them before, and they really helped.
Did you get more momentum because of the wedges? And this is perhaps as we look at the new construction and implementation, what are we doing to ensure that as we go on the international stage, we sort of engaging with the same thing and then helping our preparations? But we'll come back to that as we talk to the government. Miss Liv.
Hi, I'm Liv, and I really like sports. It was my second time doing a 50-meter pool swim meet, but my first time in an indoor pool, and it was very cold. It was really cold.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and this is summer, right? And it's cold.
No, just the pool was cold.
That's what I mean. The pool is cold, and this is in summer, is indoors, and people don't appreciate why we don't swim November through February because it's cold. How cold was it? It was so cold. I
don't even I froze.
Yeah, and that can affect in many ways, right? And I like what Miss Stella shared. Your perspective that hey, I treat it like a 25-meter pool. So maybe when we come back again, through our discussion, we can talk about not just what the trip meant, but what it means for us going forward. And to our listeners, if you're not on YouTube yet, you won't get my sort of insistence to go online, look at those things often. This is one where you have to see the fantastic young people that we have in the studio. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
This is Catherine Ebanks Wilkes, and as the representative for West Bay Central and the Ministry for Sustainability and Climate Resiliency, I am concerned that our islands are at a high risk of loss and damage to seagrass beds. Stronger storms, warmer sea temperatures, and sea level rise can destroy seagrass beds. Culturally and economically important animals like green sea turtles and conch need seagrass to survive. To learn more about the climate risk to our islands, visit www.gov.ky/climate change policy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And if there's ever a day where you can justifiably feel proud of being in a wonderful place, it's a day like today as we look around and I see not just potential. I see greatness in their eyes and through the lens of our young people. Ms. Gina, to you, Ms. Christine, and all others, thank you for this opportunity. Think of us as parents and sponsors and supporters and cheerleaders and champions who facilitate but who understand. And through a friend, I'm now consciously not saying sacrifice, I'm saying investment. We're making this investment. It may feel like a sacrifice, but we're no longer going to say that. It's an investment for now. So as we continue the discussion, I'm really ecstatic. I'm just delighted because this is what it is to be here. All right. As we talk to the swimmers and their experiences, perhaps again, if you were mindful, Ms. Gina, we left there, we went there. Why did we go? What was it like? And then perhaps through the swimmers themselves, maybe get their perspective. Okay, it was cold. I get that because I still feel it now. But talk to us.
Sure. So we wanted to give these young Caymanians some opportunity away so they could experience a 50-meter pool and compete with people internationally. So it reignites their passion for swimming and they train harder. They come back to Cayman, they're able to teach other people in their swim clubs the techniques that they learned abroad. And it helps them to better their times as well.
Right.
So I would just like to highlight one person from Stingray and one person from SMS. So Kylan McLean, he goes to John Gray, and he's 13 years old, and he got record numbers. He did a 50-meter freestyle in 29 seconds. And for context, Jordan Crooks did it in 21 seconds. So it's an 8 seconds difference. And then the other swimmer was Christina's son, Danny Kish, and he is part of SMS Swim Club. And he's 15, so it was an age difference. He's 16, so he did the 50-meter freestyle in 24 seconds. So we had some record numbers, and all the girls here as well, they had some great times too.
It's amazing, and thank you for sharing that. And for me, it does a couple of things. It talks about how the more we allow our children to be introduced to develop new techniques and processes, math, 2 plus 2, well, it will always hopefully be what 2 plus 2 equals, but there may be different ways of getting the same answer. You just don't have to add. Maybe you can multiply and divide, but we only know one thing. And as we go around the table, I'll start with Mr. McLean first, but Ms. Christina, coming to you again, director, parent, champion, the things we are as parents that we're called to be, sometimes the wider community is not as cognizant or appreciative of that investment. You brought 2 competing clubs on the local scene together to collaborate, and through that camaraderie, we build a stronger group of future Olympians, of future politicians and pastors and police officers and parents.
I agree. Putting them together in an environment where they're all equally competitive. You throw everyone in the pool, you're all the same. It's down to your talents. It doesn't matter where you came from or who's backing you. You get in the pool, you're all equal. And in this situation, we bring people together who ultimately want to represent Cayman on the stage at Carifta or at CCCAN or Pan Am or Worlds. So why not allow them to be friends and have play dates now that they know each other and see each other socially as well. And we're just stronger together, without a doubt.
Indeed.
Yes, and we have some young swimmers as well. We have Miss India, she's 8 years old, and then we have Della, she's 9 years old, and Fiona, 10 years old. But even our younger swimmers just far exceeded our expectations as well and did better than they thought they would do.
And Miss India, if you'd allow me at some point to come back to you, I love what you shared about, you treated it 50 as a 25 meter. We don't allow that thing to scare us. We just embrace it, and we challenge it and we champion it. Kylan, if I may, if you're okay with starting this next round as we go around the table with your fellow call them competitors, collaborators. We recognize that swimming, for the most part, unless it's a relay, it's an individual endeavor. But it takes the coach, the parents, even your other sort of competitors to spur you on. How do you see that individual effort where you got to get up, you got to put all you have, being just solamente, as my friends say, you won, or is it more of a community, your community of competitors, your community of champions who surround you?
Well, I would like to say that in every race you're going to go into as a swimmer, you would always have a rival. And even if you just met them or you've known them forever, this will be the person you're going against. They could be on a different team, the same team, but this will be the person who pushes you. So when you win a race, mostly my two thoughts are my team, well, my three thoughts, my team, my parents, and that guy in the race who nearly beat me. Those are my three thoughts, because without any of those three, I probably wouldn't be swimming.
Iron sharpens iron. What Steve Fair was saying, rising tide floats all ships. So that spurs you on. Selena, from your perspective, how do you see what this experience was? How does that now translate into what you're going to do summer when school starts back in September? What you're going to do, down the road? How does that? What does that mean for you?
I feel that now I've seen like how far I can go with swimming and how competitive it is, and how fast the swimmers are abroad. Now I'm going to go back in September and train as much as I can go to the farthest of my ability, and then hopefully go to another 50-meter pool again and do better.
I see if I can build one in my backyard. Wait, I don't know. My yard is not that big. Great stuff, and that hopefully will motivate all of us, whether we're in the classroom studying for math, whether we're the cyclist who's considering, whether it's someone who's thinking, I'm not really into sports. What you're doing and saying will motivate us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Let's live. For you, what was this like? There's travel. Give your second time in the pool like that. But first in an indoor, I think you said indoor, outdoor, 50 meters, 25 meters, chocolate, non-chocolate. No, that's the size of the point. It's only chocolate. Talk to us.
I think it was just a really great experience to swim in an indoor pool 50 meters and a great university as well. And I think that it was just like a huge step for everyone to go to a big swim meet like that. Does
that make you like, your fellow swimming, companion, seeing what you were able to achieve? Was it more than you expected of yourself?
Yeah, I think I did very good, and I overachieved what I thought I was going to do.
I want to be careful, because I think sometimes we, the adult, the parent especially, without even realizing it, we put limitations on our children. We don't realize that even though we may say, the world's your oyster, you can be anything you want, but somehow we kind of hinder, limit unconsciously. Do you think that, your group aside, do you think as a community of adults, we are encouraging, nurturing, supporting, and making you as a young person understand, yes, you want to fly to the moon, you could be an astronaut, you could be anything? Or do we kind of say it but don't believe it?
No, I think everyone is very supportive of anything you do.
Awesome. I'm convinced of that. I'm just hopeful that in circles outside of the swimming community, there'll be all like that. Miss India, before I come to you, Mom, would it be okay if I talk to the wonderful lady to your left?
Yes.
Yes? All right. Well, Miss India, tell me about this. I mean, because it is, as Miss Della has shared earlier, the idea that it's a 25, and I mixed it up just now, 25 meter versus the 50 meter, and her idea that she saw it as such. Is that important to look at this thing and go, it's no big deal. It's the same, just more. It's no less. It's no different.
I guess it kind of is important, because if you put yourself too far in thinking that it's too hard for you to achieve any of these things, then it could just it could actually hurt you in how you're training. It could hold you back. So,
if I'm hearing you correctly, sometimes we limit ourselves because we are feeling defeated because we think that this thing is impossible. And you're saying, you know what? It's possible. It just may take 2 seconds more, or it may be a lot easier. It's how we approach it.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Okay, can I record that and give that to our parents and thank you. And this is why I believe too many times, Ms. Della, as adults, we fail to forget how important it is to see things for the first time. And sometimes our children, if you don't mind me referring to you as such, you guys remind us that nothing's impossible. It's our limitations. For you, where does this, take you? I mean, Next year you're 10, in 10 years you'll be 10 plus 10. What's that? Okay, it'll be 10 plus 10. What does this mean for you, this trip, and where does you hope that it'll take you, Estella?
I hope that I don't really know if it'll take me anywhere, but I just hope it'll take me to the Olympics someday or anything like that.
And I believe it will if that's your desire. But what do you say to others now around the table that are listening, whether it's swimming, whether it's a sport or non-sport, whether it's in music or the arts generally, or if it's even in the classroom when it's a subject, does this participation help them? And if so, in your mind, how?
Oh, this could help swimming. Swimming could help them. Some people aren't that good at running, like me. I'm not good at running, but I'm better at swimming.
Like a fisher, really fast. Understanding what you like and what you're good at and pursuing it is what you're sharing. It may not be swimming, it may not be running, it may be singing, it may be hurdling. Find what you want, pursue it, and be given an opportunity.
Yeah.
Awesome. Princess Fiona, before I ask anything, what would you like to say to our listeners?
Well, I think that it was a really good experience for all of us since it was some of our first times in a 50-meter pool.
Mm-hmm. And for those for whom it was the first time, does that build excitement for the second, the third, the 1,000th time? This gives them greater chance to learn more, see more, do more.
Yeah, I think that it does give them good experiences and more what's it called?
That sort of introduction to other things, that chance to experience other stuff and learn more. Is that what we were saying?
Yeah.
And it's the same, I think, if I can come back to perhaps Ms. Christina, you. Even as adults, we've taken on a new job. We may have started doing the same kind of work, but in a new organization. We have to learn the ropes. We got to get sort of acclimated to the environment, understand the office politics, maybe their particular process. It's the same at 13 or 31. The first time in the first place can be as daunting and intimidating. But Miss Indy, how she shared it, we had that wisdom.
Put it better than I would, yes.
Yes. I think that needs to be recorded. What time was that? That was at 1:43. That needs to be quoted. We're going to make a note of that. Can we quote you?
I think it's true. I think that the nerves that they felt are all positive nerves. Mm-hmm. And there will always be nerves when you dive in, won't they, Kyle? And you've done it in big settings before, and there's always nerves. Mm-hmm. But you grow accustomed to them and you find strength out of the nerves.
Okay. Kyle, from that perspective, and thank you so much for setting it up. You get, as I said when I first came in, I was nervous. That might not have been the right word to use, but it was for me to say, I never want to come into this studio, no matter how many days, how many hours I've done it, and assume I know what I'm doing, take it for granted, be complacent. It's all about preparing. I can walk in, pick up the mic, and start a show, and people might go, oh, you're just showing up. No, I was showing up from the day before. Preparation, practice, commitment, dedication. Are those the things?
All of those are important. You can't come to the pool because someone forced you to and expect to do well. You can't have, let's say there's a swim meet. You can't not want to wake up early to get to the swim meet because you don't feel like it. Swimming is a sport where no matter what happens, you have to keep going. Dedication, and then that's dedication. After that, you just need to put the work in. And once you do, all the rewards will come to you.
Okay. As coach, as parent, sometimes we think we know more. Sometimes we do. Trust me, as adults, sometimes we actually know what we're talking about. I wish I knew that when I was a child, that my parents knew. But with that, we want you as the athlete, as our child, to excel. We want the very best. But you just said if you don't want it, you can't be forced. I agree with you. But how do we incentivize, motivate, reward, recognize, whatever it is? Can we do as coach, as parent, as community cheerleaders, anything that can help you to excel, to, what is it they say in Maslow's theory? Be all you can be. That what can we do anything?
It all really depends on the person you're dealing with, because you're not gonna do well in something that you have no interest to do. Okay. Like you might be good at it naturally, but that doesn't by default mean that you're gonna try and excel at it.
Okay.
So, I think there's nothing really that anybody could do about it. If you don't like it, then you're not gonna try for it.
Okay. I want to ask Miss Liv, and then if Miss Della would let me ask her after, then we'll go back. I had a coach, and his style of coaching was to bark and to shout, and that didn't work for me. It worked for my good friend, because that's how he was motivated. And for me, I'm like, I don't like your language. I don't like the way I interpret it as being demeaning. Then I had another coach who speaking so softly, I couldn't hear what he said. I mean, I'm sure you heard what I said, right? I have no clue, because his approach was that gentle, so to speak. For you, what motivates you?
I think that like motivational shouting is good, but when they're just like constantly shouting at you, it's not it. You just get scared.
It doesn't work, huh? It kind of makes you feel a little bit less than.
Yeah.
All right. I said I was going to go to Miss Della, but promise. Listen, to you, coaches want the very best, as do parents. And what is that approach that works, you think, best, if there is such a thing? Or is it, as both, Miss McLean and Miss Liv has shared, it depends on the individual. How do we get you to know that what we're trying to do is that thing to get the best of you, but at the same time, everyone having fun? Is there a secret? Because I'm taking notes, okay?
I think when a coach is also shouting, is telling you tips, that's really good. But when they give you too many tips and you don't have time to work on it, then it won't bring out the best in you. Okay. You need time to kind of take them.
Okay. And the reason why I was asking is that many times everybody believes that what we're doing is the best. That the parent says, oh, I get too much TV, and I probably was that parent. Okay, time to go to bed. But we're not doing that by example ourselves. It's do as I say, not as I do. Ms. Della, when your goal is the Olympics, and the next Olympics 4 years from now, so I can see you going there. I mean, Ms. Nadecki, she did it at 17, was it? Yeah. You can get there, 15. Jillian did it at 15, right? Yeah. And I was just thinking back that internationally, thank you, Ms. Christine, we have all these examples. And that kind of why I was getting at. We, in small spaces, believe that we can't have this thing because, well, it's a small space. We don't have many people. You're showing, all of you, that you can go on international stage and not just compete, but impress and excel. Right?
Yeah.
How do we get us to help you get there?
Just be supportive. Just don't expect every single thing. Just all you have to do is support, and you also can help them train and stuff like that, but all you have to do is support.
Just support.
Yeah.
Be there for them. That hug. Perhaps bring some extra chocolate for them to have. No. Drive them to places. Be their cheerleader. What do you think, if this is not asked correctly, or if it's what do you think that we're doing, thinking that we're being supportive, that we may be not being as supportive as we think we're being, as the coach, as the parent, as the community? Is there anything, if that's not okay to ask, don't answer it, right? Because sometimes I think we want to help, but we're not realizing that we're not helping, even though we think we're helping. You got to be there now, let's go. And we're making the child nervous and anxious, and then they're in a bad mindset, but we want to get there on time. Is there anything that you think we're doing to help, but we're not helping because we're doing it the way we're doing it?
Well, to think about it, I don't really know.
Okay, that's fine. I don't either. I'm just thinking back to, my coach who thought by cussing and shouting and screaming, he was getting me to my excellence. It wasn't. And then I said, Coach, that don't work for me. Johnny here likes that. The other coach who was whispering so softly, like, what did you say? You're talking softer than me. in that, I believe, I am speaking more through you to our parents. Let's be there. Let's, as employers, remember that the parent wants to see the child. As an example, Jordan swam the other day, and I don't think anybody here, not just in the audience, anybody would have objected to what we say. Listen, when he swims, we're taking a break. It's a minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever. We're going to take the break. We're going to watch him swim, then we can come back. And I'm hoping that many people did that because it shows. So, Miss Fiona, with that in mind, is our community there sufficiently, beyond the swimming community, where we are your biggest champion and cheerleaders, your, biggest supporters and promoters?
No, I don't think I have that in me, but maybe some other people do. So I would just say to those people that have it in you to keep going and reach your destiny.
Awesome. All right, we're going to probably in another 2 minutes or so.
Summer's heating up.
Well, see, that was the cue. For those who have headsets on, it had summer's heating up. So thanks, Paul, for fixing that. We're going to take the break in a couple of seconds, but before we do, we're going to ask both Miss Christina and, I guess Miss Gina as well to the last comments. But before we do, anybody wants to say anything at all? Hi, Mom. Remember, pick me some chocolate cake? Sorry. Anybody wants to say anything? Yeah. I want to give each of you an opportunity to say whatever you wish. Who wants to go?
I guess I'll go.
Oh, there you go, my friend.
To the question you asked Della earlier, how to support. Well, football, when football was a national sport of Cayman, you see it all the time. Schools, classes would pause for a minute just to watch a game that was going on. And it was something that schools have, always a football court. And I know it's kind of dangerous to have a pool at a school, but maybe something similar to that, or more lessons for swimming. That, because if swimming's a national sport now, then we can't just have this team alone. Later on, we're going to need another team. And right now, we barely have any people in a lot of clubs. So Cayman, us as the country, needs to have a national team for its national sport.
Yeah. And on an island, it'd be good to know at least how to swim or be comfortable. I won't call his name James. I won't say his last name because that'll give it away. But James is brother and we're close. James and my other brother, close and he knew to school. And he was a phenomenal swimmer. I'll be honest with you, maybe because his feet were 15 feet long, or maybe his hands, but he could swim. But it was a long time ago, like football, like many things, we were not sufficiently invested in that. Perhaps we didn't see the importance of it. Maybe we as parents said, wasting your time, boy, get an education. So to your point, I'm hoping that we heard, as I thought I did, make it so that we have access to swimming or whatever else, and we excel, we give an opportunity. Wise words, my friend. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, I'm not saying everybody should do swimming.
You did not say that. No.
I just want to clarify that. But
so you be a politician?
As a national sport, we're going to need, yes.
I hear you, Bobo. I hear you. All right. Celine, anything you want to say at all? It's up to you, Mom.
I think that the 50-meter pool was a really good experience for everyone, and that the 50-meter pool coming to Cayman, I think, is going to be really good for all swimmers, and it will help us a lot for future swim meets and help us get to the Olympics someday.
There you go. Miss Liv, if you wish.
I don't really have anything to say.
You know what? I'm not a good politician, Not at this time, Madam Speaker. Cindy, if you wish to say anything at all, this is your time if you wish.
Well, the people in the Olympics, I feel like they've trained hard and done their best in all that they can. So I feel like all we have to do is follow their steps and just do our best.
They're paving the way, and perhaps the path is that much easier, perhaps. If you wish, Miss Della?
So, when you see, when you're in an international swim meet, you don't know many people from the other swim clubs. You might know some people, but you don't know them all. So, just treat, the people from different countries and swim clubs, just treat them like your own country's swim clubs. Because you don't really know who they are
We're all people, right? So love, respect, honor, appreciate, recognize. Thank you. And Miss Fiona.
I don't really have anything to say.
More of us should probably follow advice, and yet we still talk. But thank you. And if you wish, Miss Gina, thank you very much. And of course, Miss Christina.
I just have my elements, the 5 elements of success. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And that's what everyone showed on this trip. I just have one little tidbit to share. It was a night that we had to figure out dinner, and some of the kids were like, "Oh, we want pizza." And then Kylan, who's gotten the nickname Coach Kylan, said, "That's not a smart decision because we have to compete tomorrow." And then we chose a different option which had a lot of protein, and then the people performed a lot better the day after. So it was just those little things that help you prepare.
Thank you for having the courage to step up, but also for others for being, understanding of why it was said and perhaps how it was said. And again, this speaks to the coaching, the parents that come behind to set that tone, encourage and facilitate that sort of dialogue. So you guys, I hope I have been respectful. Honestly, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. And only if you wish, Miss Christina, any words?
A final word from me is just, I guess, good luck to Jordan, who's swimming at 1:30 today, who makes us proud. And quite honestly, he's excited and given such great motivation to swimming in Cayman. So we're all behind him.
We are, and to Jordan, Jillian, I think, as parents, but to be able to look at Jimmy and Faith and to understand that they've always said it's a community effort, but they're the ones that are there individually who are seeing the things that we, even those of us who may be close, we don't see. And to parents everywhere, thank you all. We sometimes as children, even children who are 16, 17 years old and still have their parents around, still don't always appreciate what their parents do. But they mean well. So thanks to parents and parents like you guys. Again, I know it's just the 6 of you representing 6,000 more. But thank you all. You are loved, you're adored, you're admired, you're appreciated. And the things you do now, whether in the classroom, whether at home, know that we want the very best for you as parents, but as a community. So thanks, guys. With that, we're going to go home and let's watch the Olympics. No, we're going to come back after the break. We're going to have another interesting discussion, so please stay tuned.
Summer's heating up, and so are the good times. Whether you are out on the water, enjoying the beach, or gathering with colleagues for an office bash, make it a feast to remember with Subway. From assorted sandwich platters to mouth-watering cookies, our catering menu has something for everyone. Perfect for groups of 5 or more. For food that's fresh, fast, and perfect for any occasion, choose Subway Catering. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Refer a friend and get $50 to spend when your friend or family member opens a personal account with Cayman National. From July 9th to September 30th, 2024, C&B customers can earn $50 for each referral who opens an individual or joint personal account. Earn up to $500 with a maximum of 10 referrals. Visit CaymanNational.com for more details on this promotion and follow us on social media for updates. Terms and conditions apply.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Prescription refills made easy at Savannah Pharmacy. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Covering Little Cayman, Cayman Bride.
Cover me.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Fire officers attend the 12th IRF Caribbean Regional Congress in Puerto Rico as part of the effort to reduce road accidents and fatalities. In a social media post, the Cayman Islands Fire Service says the aim is to analyze various methodologies and discuss with the National Roads Authority. In international headlines, Delta's CEO says the CrowdStrike global tech outage could cost the airline approximately $500 million in costs, from lost revenue to compensation for displaced travelers. Delta had to cancel thousands of flights due to the outage. On CNBC, the CEO says it would be seeking damages. Hugh Edwards, once one of the BBC's most senior news presenters, has pleaded guilty to 3 counts of making indecent images of children. In court, he admitted to having 41 indecent images of children which had been sent to him by another man on WhatsApp. Those images included 7 Category A images, the most serious classification, 2 of which showed a child between the ages of 7 and 9. Until last year, Edwards was one of the main presenters on BBC One's News at 10 and often fronted coverage of major national events. The BBC said it was shocked to hear the details which emerged in court today. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI-accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July, 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the 5th child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott worked the seas for over 52 years, a career which saw him span the global currents. In 1953, he joined his first ship, the Beretta, a local cargo vessel, signing on as deck boy, working his way up to bosun. In 1955, he joined National Bulk Carriers, working his way up to able-bodied seaman. In 1959, he signed on the Ore Meteor to go to Marine School in New York, attaining a 3rd mate's license. He joined the Bulk Petrel as 3rd officer, where during one voyage he was solely responsible for using Morse lamp signaling to save a sister ship which had run aground. He continued to flourish and attained 2nd mate, chief mate, master mariner, and radio operator licenses. In October of 1969, he took a job on oil exploration ships as a captain in Brazil. Captain Scott would later move from Brazil, where he spent the next 20 years piloting cruise ships and tankers in Grand Cayman.
Witness the elegance of the Miss Universe Cayman Islands 2024 contestants as they embark on a captivating motorcade through our beloved Cayman Islands. August 3rd, the motorcade starts at 9 a.m. at the Turtle Center in West Bay, followed by stops at 7 Mile Beach, Georgetown Library, and Pedro Castle, where they have lunch at Thatch and Barrel. Come together as a community to uplift and cheer for these remarkable young women. Don't miss the chance to be part of the magic. Mark your calendars for August 3rd and be there to show your love and encouragement. Let's make this motorcade a day they'll never forget.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And as we get into our discussion, two quick things. One, I can't say enough how just wonderful I feel every day, and especially days like today, having an opportunity to start off the discussion with such fantastic young individuals, not just because of their athleticism, that determination, but also their perspective on life. And maybe as adults, in particular teachers, parents, and coaches, that we consciously stop and reflect that maybe what we say and do could cause our young people to have a less than positive mindset. One of friend, and it's not because of his multiple master's degrees and all that stuff, he said we dumb down society. And I think if we look at, and just one comment from one of the young ones earlier, Miss India, when she talked about how she saw things. Okay, that's the first thing. So let's look at secondly, 1:30-ish. We're going to pause for the break as normal. It could be a little bit before, a little bit after. Jordan Crooks is going to swim again, and we're going to watch that. If that's an issue for people, let me know, because I don't want to insult nor offend, but I will say to you, unless it's not on, we're not going to watch it. But if it's on, right, Paul? We're going to pause and we're going to watch that when that swim comes up. So he's going to find it.
I think it's 1:44 though, isn't it?
Whenever it is, we're going to take the break. We're going to find a way to make it happen, because it's about supporting and recognizing, respecting an accomplishment such as that. It's about trying to foster unity in our community. It's about trying to inculcate in us a strong sense of national pride and appreciation. Now, the third thing is sort of still in the theme of youthfulness, Miss Michelle Lockwood. You're still young-ish, we could say that. Young in spirit. My dad always said, when my mom would say, boy, why you don't try to act your age? It's like, age and the relative youthfulness. If we look at a lot of our older Caymanians, and they may be 100 years old, but they're still energetic and enthusiastic. Their level of industriousness is complemented, by their resolve and resilience. And that's the stock from which we come. So that, as inspired and exhibited by our young students just earlier, something that we carry forward. So, to Miss Michelle Lockwood, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. I am amazing. I am grateful. And even if my heart may be heavy and my shoulders may feel like I have the weight of the world on them, I live in a good place, surrounded by great people who not just inspire and motivate, but through the example I excel. Mm-hmm. And that is hope, my friend.
Yeah. But
to you and the team at CPR for keeping it in the forefront. I do not know if it came out prior. I only saw it yesterday, so presumably it was only posted yesterday.
I think it was announced at the cargo expansion meeting last night.
Right. So I saw it just prior. So I saw it just prior to that. So the government has announced that it's going to do well. Why are we here? I mean,
I was
hear from you.
I was going to say, I think CPR became so synonymous in 2019 and 2020, early 2020. But it's been 4 years since, so some people might not know or remember what CPR was.
Right.
But CPR was formed in 2018 as a response to the then government and the rumors that were swirling at the time about moving forward the cruise port. And our initial CPR kind of formed as a response to that, to be able to ask the questions about what we were signing on to, because the government at the time wasn't giving a lot of details. And we ended up just asking questions like, what does this mean? Who's going to be the bidder? Who's this? What's that? How about our infrastructure? And we sort of asked for a referendum on it because we said, you haven't consulted the public enough for us to be able to have the knowledge to decide whether, and this is a big, large-scale project, national project.
Right.
So we initiated the first people's initiated referendum. Got our signatures started in 2018, and then we finally got enough signatures and handed it over, I think it was September 2019. And then, no, I think it was June. We handed it over in June, and then they had their process where they had to verify all of the signatures. So in September, they said, it's fully verified. We have to do the referendum. And then they announced it, I think, like October 3rd. And I was looking it up again, but the question at the time was, should the Cayman Islands move forward with cruise berthing and the cargo expansion project, was the question of the referendum at the time. And that's sort of, so as a background in case anybody doesn't know who CPR is.
Oh, no, thank you for that. And again, maybe for my own edification, perhaps maybe assist others, those who signed the referendum, by signing it, my understanding is all your signature did was to say, hey, we want to have a say on this. You could have gone to the thing at that day and voted, yes, I want it, or no, I didn't. Your signature did not indicate where your position was at the time.
Yeah.
You may not have even felt that you had enough information, but you wanted to say yes or no. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's basically, we were just saying we want a referendum on the issue. So you could have signed that referendum, although I think it's probably fair to say that most people didn't sign it if they didn't want the referendum, as in they did want the cruise port. But that was the point of the referendum, was so that we could be given the facts, we could be given the information so that we could make an informed decision about whether or not we wanted a cruise port.
I'm glad you shared that last part, and that even because so much has happened in the intervening years, so many years in a sense, have passed, but there are people who did not sign because they did not want to be seen. And not only civil servants or public servants, but others, they did not want to be seen as having or be perceived that they were, for or against it.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. And I know on a personal level that I consciously signed it. And it's only because of that people go, oh, I see where you stand. I go, yes, on the side of democracy. Oh, no. And, me being a big boy, I don't have an issue, but it took time to recognize that some of us are either by our own actions willing to deny ourselves participation in something important, or because we feel, I don't want to use the word bullied because that's got used too much. We may feel, how do they say in West Bay, away and not participate. And that can happen. So with that in mind, I want to ask two immediate things. One, is it now necessary? The last administration, the PPM, said no, we're going to the polls, we're not going to do it, whichever. Is it necessary now for the country to have a say, yes or no, whether we want, or is it a foregone conclusion that we don't, or that we do?
I'm not sure. That's the thing. This might be more my personal opinion than me speaking for CPR in this regard, but I don't necessarily, because I know a lot of people are quite angry with the announcement. But I don't necessarily think that we asked for a referendum, right? So that's what this is now. This is the referendum that we asked for 4 years ago. But my question is why now? What's different now than was at the time? Are we talking about the same question that we were talking about then? Because there are some people that aren't necessarily against the idea of a port, but they're against the idea of a port in Georgetown. There's some people that, and I think inevitably, I don't think anybody is saying status quo is okay. I don't even think people on our side are saying status quo is okay. But we have now, I don't even remember what the population is now. I think it's 70 something.
No way. You mean
our population?
The population in this country?
Yeah. I forget what I heard the last.
No, it's like the Honorable Minister said for the tourism reports. We're knocking around something there, but it's probably close to 100,000.
Yeah.
And probably more than that in a good day.
Yeah.
Too many people.
But we have, exactly. So we have to talk about infrastructure.
Yeah.
We have to talk about carrying capacity. We have to talk about the attractions that we have. And we have to talk about the sustainability of it all. And now sustainability gets a bad rep. Like a lot of people don't like it because they think it's just greenwashing. But it's not about the environment as such. It's about what can our country sustain. Not just for our generation or the people living now.
The carrying capacity of a space.
But for the rest of, Cayman is only so many miles long, so many miles wide. There's only so much space here, and we have to talk about the comfortability for those people that are here.
All right. And that kind of leads me into the second question, which has two parts that you touched on. The timing, right? So timing question. The timing of this now, just overnight, we've had a lot sort of come out in the public domain. They supposedly leaked Auditor General's report, which I understood was going to be released anyway today, but there's that on the dump project. There's the cruise cargo port discussion, the potential that lands will be swapped here and there to accommodate this, that, and the next thing. So is it all interconnected? So much happening at one time. I wonder to what extent people are going to be overwhelmed and unable or unwilling to commit the time to give it justice. People being us as voters, people being us as the parliamentarians and policymakers. Sometimes, you have a lot on your plate at a time that you can't deal with it, and it's all urgent, all important.
Yeah, and but Cayman is at a very crucial point in how we're going to kind of what we're going to become, right? Yeah. Like, we are coming to a very crux point where we're like, how much longer can we continue?
The precipice,
how we are? Yeah, like. I'm sure there's plenty of Caymanians, and this is obviously why to a certain extent that there's, because the cruise sector of tourism is heavily weighted with Caymanians, which is great.
That's being said, but is that true?
So speak to Shirley is obviously who I'm.
No, the reason why I say that, and this isn't for any other reason than ask people to question
of
and
course.
Verify.
Yeah.
Right? Look at those who operate in the North Sound, for argument's sake. If you ask them, they'll say a lot of boat operators in the North Sound, but they're not Caymanian, so to speak. Or they, as Caymanians who've been doing it because their fathers did it and their grandfathers did it, they're not benefiting. Now, that may be true for them. It may be exaggerated, or it may be other reasons. All right. Again, in preparing for today, I had to do a quick dance and whichever, and reached out to some of them. Forgive me, this is why I've been talking so much. For some of them, they shared that they would go back to when there were these pre-bookings on the cruise ships and the challenges that they had then trying to get some of the business and then the formation of the co-op and all these things. So it hasn't really benefited many to the extent that we're told.
Yeah.
And then so we're wondering, is it as much of a financial, economic, and social benefit as people say?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? There's so, like I said, I think sometimes people put, especially me in particular, kind of put me in the sort of box of I'm an environmentalist and I'm always going to be pro-environment, and that I'm not thinking about the wider issues, right? But the issues with cruise port and particular cruise tourism are all of those things. What is the economic benefit? Where is the money coming from? How is it being filtered down into Caymanians? And how is it going to affect our infrastructure, right? At present, we have so many roadworks going on in Georgetown. On a day with one cruise ship in, we're almost at a standstill trying to figure out how to get through town.
Right.
And we need to talk about that, right? Like this is the thing with, like I said, I personally might not necessarily be against the referendum per se. I do question, why we're doing it by the end of the year instead of trying to tack it on with the elections, which would be cheaper for the government than having to do it a separate thing. It would be less disruptive to society because, we wouldn't have to give another holiday. But so that's my first question. Why are we doing it now? Why are we doing it in the time frame that we've been told we're doing it in? Why not add it into the end of the elections? And then the next thing is that what information are you going to be releasing in relation to this? Because we still haven't been given any different information than we were asking for when CPR was founded, which was, we need to talk about a carrying capacity for this island. How many people is comfortable for the people that are coming off and having the experiences, and also for the people that live and work here. Right? So we have to talk about stuff like that. We have to talk about how what our resources can handle in terms of even the attractions that we're offering. There's only so much stretch of 7 Mile Beach, which is being reduced enormously by every storm. You know, we only have so many stingrays in the sandbar. We only have so much of Rum Point. We only have, you know, like we have to talk about like how comfortable is it for the people having these experiences. And then the second thing that like I question with this is actually the, you know, right, it's being played off that, you know, we either make this decision or we lose cruise forever. I don't think that that's true.
Right.
I don't think that that's true. And the other thing is what I find so difficult about cruise ships and cruise tourism in particular. And I'm not against cruise tourism, to be clear. But I feel like not enough people understand and look at how cruises operate in terms of, you know, they pay their staff poorly. They live in poor conditions. Look at how they treated them during COVID. When like the beginning of COVID, when they were being quarantined and basically, you know, out to sea with nobody caring about them. And that's how they were treated as staff. Yeah. So if that's how they're treating their staff, how are they treating the ports that they're going into?
And this is...
And remember, they're also destinations in and of themselves, right? They have water slides. They have, you know, arcade rooms, like shopping centers. Like, why would you need to get off a cruise ship?
There's
right?
entertainment on board.
It's entertainment on board, right? So, but funnily enough, most people make their decisions on cruises based on the destinations. But they don't, the cruise ship doesn't make money if you get off the ship. Certainly not the amount that they do if you stay on the ship. Right. And then just what you were just saying about pre-bookings, my understanding, and I could be wrong, I have never worked I have worked a little bit with one of my friends who used to have a tour group here, but only briefly. So I would never say I worked for livelihood in this industry. But I have understood that with pre-bookings is that, you know, say to the cruise tour, a Stingray City tour is going to cost me $15. They sell it for $100.
Yeah.
But how much is the tour operator here getting? $15. So do you see what I mean? Like the markup, like I think what would be a better option would be to look at cruise ships. And personally, what I think is that the government here and the minister should be talking with other Caribbean destinations, which are also going through this and also trying to figure out what they want to do. Look, I can't remember what the port was called in Jamaica, but there was a port where they, you know, were told, oh, build this beautiful port for us and we'll come. And you can see that they didn't stay. They just got their buses and shuttled them off other places. So all these promises that were made weren't kept. So I think we need to talk with other Caribbean nations, and I'm sure they are. But I think ultimately the Caribbean is the destination. We are the luxury product. And we should be telling the cruise ships how we want them to come to our space. Rather than the other way around.
And I'm grateful that you and others, and one of our listeners, you know, says congrats to Michelle and the CPR came on, right? And this is where a democracy can only be championed and preserved if there's participation of our people. And like I said, those days are done when people sit up and keep their mouth shut and beat up their gums under the tree. You ask the question, as many already in the less than 24 hours since this has come out. The timing, you know, we have an election in Aprilish, maybe a little bit soon. I don't know when it's going to be, but somewhere around then.
Yeah.
Right. Why now? What is the, you know, impetus? What's the rush? What's the value? And it could be a very justifiable reason. But with that in mind, from what you also shared, are we asking sufficient questions? Are the benefits of the concessions and the developers worthwhile? Are the pre-bookings beneficial or a hindrance? I mean, different things. So with that in mind, the second part of the question is not just the timing, but will the question, presumably be one question or questions, but will that question or questions somehow affect potentially the answer? You know, do you like red meat versus you don't like red meat, do you? You know, I'm asking you if you like red meat, but it's how I say it and how I word it. May go, well, I don't think I do, maybe yeah. So will the way the question is worded potentially be something that has to be considered to ensure that as objective and impartial as possible, you have an answer that is, you know, legit?
I mean, I think I shouldn't say I assume. like I said, I think the question that it was in 2019 was, should the Cayman Islands move forward with building a cruise berthing facility and cargo port? Given that that's what the People's Initiated referendum kind of asked as well, I do wonder whether or not they're going to sort of stick to the same sort of question. Okay. I don't think it's been announced, the question, nor has a date been announced, right? But I almost feel like that's too wide. Because, like I said, there are some people that are not against the port per se, but they're against it in Georgetown.
Okay.
Right? So they might be saying it should be in Spots. It should be in East End. It should be wherever, right? And then there's some people that would maybe say, and also we're talking about cruise berthing as well as cargo in that particular question. I don't know if they're going to include that in this question because, the announcement, I think, just says cruise berthing. Yeah. But it was announced at a cargo expansion project meeting. So that's the other thing, right? Some people might, and I'm sure actually most people would agree that cargo needs to be redone and revamped. But does it need to be done in conjunction with the cruise port? It doesn't need to be done in Georgetown. Maybe cargo can move to a different location. So you see what I mean? Like, even when you kind of break that down, there's lots of different ways you could think about it. So I feel sometimes the question can maybe be too wide, but at the same time, you need it to be objective enough not to.
I hear you. Actually, you shared that, and I had a couple of people who messaged and called and asked, and I have not, to the Honorable Tourism Minister, had a chance to say, hey, this is a comment I have. I do not think he misunderstood your question. I don't think he misrepresented or in which way. But a couple people said, I asked yesterday to the Honorable Minister, you have a present situation where one facility in Georgetown is being used by both cargo and by cruise. You develop and expand a new cargo, will that also be used for cruise? And is it the inference from one only person was, under the guise of getting a cruise thing, you're trying to sell us this cargo thing because threatening food security and supply.
Yeah.
I do not think that what the minister said was in any way disingenuous, but that's my impression and interpretation. Not trying to defend him, but with that in mind, as you just shared, I have heard from a number of people since then, the concern that if they do an expanded cargo, for all our foods and building supplies and everything else, that then that's a way of getting the cruise aspect.
Well, that's what they were what the PPM was arguing at the time, was that, if we get the cruise ships or we get this bidder, in the end, it ended up being a conglomerate of a local company and the cruise lines. But, it was like, we can get this built and also fix our cargo facility, right? But there was also discussions about whether or not they should be split and the cargo facility moved. Because right now, the cargo facility can only act on days when there's no cruise ships in, like on the weekends and stuff, or in the night. So there's lots of things to think about with this. And that's why I think a lot more information needs to be released very quickly, especially if we're going to be expected to go to the polls by the end of the year. Okay.
All right, we're going to pause and take a quick break. And I am very, very inclined that when Jordan swims, we're going to pause then as well.
Yeah.
You said it's around 2:15.
I thought it was 2:45.
Which is when we have a break set. But Paul, you're monitoring it, so we'll break now and then we'll break again for that. Stay tuned.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The rich flavors of Italy just arrived at Subway. Say ciao to the Italianos. Our 3 new Subway Series recipes, carefully crafted with an Italian flair. Try the Hot Shot Italiano for an enticing and zesty touch. The tastier than ever Ultimate BMT, generously stuffed with a mix of ham, pepperoni, and salami. Or go all in with the creamy chicken bacon Alfredo. New Subway Series Italianos. Chef-crafted greatness in every bite. Elevate your game only at Subway. Delizioso.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
We were on the edge of a breakthrough. I knew the substance was extraterrestrial, but I didn't realize.
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with managing my insurance?
Well, long story long, the entire lab exploded, and the radioactive sludge went everywhere. I ended up in the hospital for a few weeks, but I was able to manage everything with the CG Online portal.
The online portal. Safe, convenient, simple. CG Britgay. Good like that.
The mission of the National Conservation Council and the Department of Environment is to ensure our islands consider responsible use of our natural resources while preserving our native species and habitats for future generations. Learn more at conservation.ky.
Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat. Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. Thank you for the microphone, Mr. Khan. Welcome back. I hope the mics were off during the break. Were they off, Paul? Were they off? He's like, I don't know. It's probably not. Well, thank you all for joining us. And in the studio, I still say Miss Michelle Lockwood.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave that at that for now.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? Thank you for coming on. Thanks for sharing with us as we talk about the cruise port referendum and we're chatting about it. And again to you and to all who are listening, we will pause when Jordan swims 1:45-ish.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
It's a scheduled break. What we did, right, we scheduled that with him.
Yeah.
He talked to the organizers and he said, listen, it's going to be on the air. We've got to take a break so we can watch.
Yeah.
No, it could be in the next couple of seconds. We're going to pause.
Yeah, okay.
So God's willing, we'll get it on the screen. We'll pause. It's around the time we would normally take a break, but we'll pause then to watch it. That's okay with you, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I want to watch it. So.
Yeah, me too. But this is
the thing, right? The Olympics is one of the most beautiful competitions in the world.
Yeah.
Because you feel so much pride. I don't know Jordan personally, nor do I know any of the other athletes personally. I know Dr. Brown. But, I feel so much pride that we are talking about him being in the semifinals and potentially in the finals.
Yeah.
As far as what I read from the Compass, it was second fastest swimmer in the heats. So
here's the thing that I believe embodies the Olympics. Epitomizes what society should be, the sense of unity.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say this, and whoever wants to challenge it, I'm happy because that may make me better, right? That's the intent. But like the Olympics, like the PTA, like the church, like the party politics, like the office politics, like everything, the people, the organizers, the managers, the administrators, the facilitators, the higher-ups, whatever we call them, they're the ones that screw things up because we forget why we're doing this thing. Football is the most beautiful game, and fans in a football stadium enjoying a great game because the two teams are vying to win, but they're giving their all, and all the fans enjoy the game, even though one is cheering for one side and one is cheering for the other. But at the end of the day, if the game is played to the best of the players and the referees and assistant referees, because they're no longer called linesmen, are officiating objectively, impartially, and fairly, and all the good things, right? It's a beautiful game. It's only when the other nonsense transpire. Why I say that is that with the Olympics, we saw, North and South Korea taking photos together. We see two competitors. One decimates in terms of the world record, and others are there to celebrate. One just wins by, fractions of a second, and the others congratulate. That's what it is about.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing that in the world because we're too, was it egos, ignorant, arrogant, insolent? I don't know. I mean, and it's not to berate. I'm just want us to recognize what's happening.
No, and I think, kind of bringing this back into why I'm here about the referendum is that you said unity, right?
Yeah.
And I do feel like we are a very disjointed society. And I feel that the way, and I'm not even just talking about this government or the immediate previous one. I feel like for a long time, our governments have not understood what the point of it was. And I cannot remember. My husband gave me the quote, but it was one of the elected officials, I think in 1969. He wrote about, we are not for developers. We are for the Caymanian people. And I this is total paraphrasing. Yeah. But our job is not to be for the developers. Our job is to be for the Caymanian people and to make decisions for what's best for the Caymanian people. And I do not feel that we have had a government that has fully understood that.
I appreciate you reminding us, because often we say if we don't know where we're going, any road will take us there. Yeah. Right? Mr. Ezra Miller, to his credit, and I'll paraphrase, he said when it came to concessions, there should be a document. It's this, and it applies to everybody, and this is the criteria, and if you want something, this is how you go about it, and if you're satisfied, this is what you get. Seems straightforward and easy enough, but we're not doing that. But
not only that, with the concessions, because concessions quite frustrates me anyways, because why aren't we getting something? Why is Caymanians and Caymanian people living here not getting something for those concessions? All these developers that get these concessions, they should be building parks. They should be putting X amount of native tall trees.
Yeah.
We need to think like that.
Right.
This is the thing, and this is sort of what my issue is right now with this cruise port referendum is, what does this mean, and who, are we just at the whim of the cruise lines and the developer of this potential port?
Right, and I think why I am encouraged by your presence always, it's not just the intellect from the perspective of let me think about this and then let me say something from an informed perspective, but it's also encouraging, and there's a level of courage. But like the concession, and you said it. So I draw inference again from Mr. Ezra. Why is the concession not to all and sunder? Why this person who's been here forever can't apply for that? Why it has to be, as he has said, the word investor has a qualifier, right? There's a prefix, foreign, right? And if a concession is given to a project only to make it seemingly either profitable or more profitable, then do we need that? Especially when you don't have a depressed economy, high unemployment, an area that is in need of redevelopment or rejuvenation. Back to the Cayman context, are we, to what you paraphrased for that parliamentarian 55 years ago thereabouts, are we at a space where what we're doing is looking the impact today and the impact 100 years from today? All right? How do we get us to be able to argue, right, in a way that speaks to principle and policies, and unless the personality is such that it's so egregious and offensive and it takes away, ignore those things. Isn't that where we should be if we are mature, sensible, rational, logical, loving, caring? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just full with love. I don't know. But how do we do that? So with that in mind, with this now, the Honourable Minister said, by the end of the year, we'll have the referendum. No date has been announced.
Yeah.
It could be December 31st.
I was
going to
say, and then a lot of that, is it?
Is it time yet, Mr. Paul? Hang on. You see them having shakes and flaps and... Guys, really? I mean, really? It's probably a low fat, non-fat, high fat. I don't know. Let us know when, just our listeners, we're having a good discussion. The phone lines are open. There was a caller that just came in, but if you want to call the 925-3261 and you want to get on air, you have to use the WhatsApp. We can't answer that on air unless you call in on the WhatsApp. 1-800-534-8255 is the floor toll-free line. 949-6-990 or 949-8-37. Miss Michelle Lockwood from the CPR crew support referendum. We're talking about, well. So.
I'm thinking that we're going to get caught off at any moment.
No, we're going to cut off. He's going to tell me and we're going to go, but it's going to be quick. I see. You paying attention, right, Paul?
It's only 20 seconds he swims.
Yeah, so as soon as he tells us, so where are we now, Paul? Is the race up yet? He's not even paying attention. Hello, Paul. All right. Just like a mania. Don't pay attention. No, is the race on yet? No, we can still talk to soon. Couple seconds. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I've lost my train of thought, though.
Okay, so the men's 200 meter, something he said.
200 meter.
Is on now. Okay, we'll talk a couple of seconds and then we'll go to the break. All right, so CPR is asking the public what in relation to this announced referendum by the government on the cruise port.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this just feels like a rinse and repeat of what we were going through 5 years ago, right? It's a little bit earlier than when they announced the one in 2019, because I think they officially announced it October 3rd, 2019. And Shirley, I think she might be the one that's waiting to grab on the phone. But she just reminded me that when we did the People's Initiated Referendum, it was specifically for cruise berthing. We didn't talk about cargo expansion. And the government at the time, the PPM government, added in the cargo facility. And I think a lot of it was exactly probably what this government is sort of potentially going to say, is this sort of like what you just said, food security. And we all know how we are so reliant on the cargo facility, right? So, but I don't think we have to look at it solely like one or the other.
Yeah.
So you either don't have food security and you don't have cruise, or you have cruise and you have food security. I don't think we have to make that choice. Right. I think we as a country can make this decision.
What's interesting, and again, perhaps not just the time and urgency, but hopefully the responsiveness. Four individuals, one in a passing comment, and then 3 all shared, independent of each other, but the same thing. If we're creating a harbor, a port, for cargo, so that we can get our food, not just so much to bring passengers in whatever means, but if it's the cargo, then where is that facility in terms of having the greatest and the highest probability that can be operated almost as many days of the year as possible? And there are probably few locations, but are we considering that? And
but also, do you know what else we should be considering is how are we encouraging agriculture on our own island?
Okay.
Right? Yeah. I appreciate that, there's probably, and agriculture is not my forte, so I can't really speak to it. But what are we doing to encourage farmers on our own island?
Yeah. And this is where I think they were sharing that if we'll have these discussions, are we willing to invite as much participation from our people, to allow as much time as possible, not, as one lady said, not to drag it out for a year and a day, but not to rush it because it's politically expedient, not to rush it because there is something else on the agenda that may, after the fact, look like there was an ulterior motive. Because she puts it, you do something, how often will you have a chance to undo that thing? And in this case, it's probably unlikely. The money will be spent, the space will be, she said damaged and destroyed, but I would say developed and redesigned. So what are we doing and how do we do it? Paul, are we ready? Is the race there yet? Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. I think it's just in a matter of seconds. So to Michelle Lockwood, you had thousands of signatures who...
25% of the electorate we had.
Yeah. Who were saying to the government, we want to have a say. The last government didn't feel a need to proceed with it. Perhaps it was...
Well, there was a little bit more that went into it afterwards because, COVID happened. We took the decision for the particular referendum date and stuff to court, which we won in the first instance and was reversed in the Court of Appeal. And obviously with everything that had happened, we never appealed it to the Privy Council because a lot of things kind of went away. Obviously, the PPM government changed, and then, like I said, COVID changed a lot of things, and a lot of perspective for people, right? But I do think that we have to talk about this as a major capital works project and what this means for, like, our island, our islands, like we have to talk about that from this, like most of their capital works projects have gone over budget, and the other thing too about this is that at the time there was a specific deal that we were talking about. That deal, as far as I understood it, was off the table, right? Is off the table now. So we're going back to the negotiating board. So what exactly is the population to vote on?
Right.
What deal are we voting on? What are we understanding of this? Like, let's say we move forward with this referendum. Well, we are moving forward with this referendum, that it's happening before the end of the year, regardless of the question. What, like, if it says yes.
Okay. Finish it. We've got the race.
Yeah.
Don't lose your point. We're going to watch the race.
Yeah.
Jordan is racing, guys. Quick. Join us after.
Okay.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Jay and Money presents the official Jamaica Independence celebrations on Friday, August 2nd at the Lions Center. Featuring from Jamaica, the Colonel, Josie Wales, Richie Stevens, and comedian Blacka Ellis. Kids Talent Contest, Best Dress Contest, lots of prizes and giveaways. Music by Joshy Vibes and B Styles, your MC, Lady T. Health fair from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. where you can get your PSA, diabetes, and blood pressure checked for free. Don't miss Josie Wales, Richie Stevens, and Blacka Ellis on Friday, August 2nd at the Lions Center. Admission is absolutely free. Sponsored by Best Dressed Chicken, Popeyes, Ministry of Border Control, Labor and Culture, Kmart Hair and Beauty Supply, Ministry of Health and Wellness, Cost You Less, iCool, Animal House, Ministry of Tourism and Transport, Radio Cayman, and Breeze FM.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thank you too for, not just allowing us to do that, because we didn't ask your permission, but for joining us and celebrating.
No, I think I screamed for a minute. I was so excited.
See, if you wasn't family, I would say something. I'll leave that for now. And I hope
Way to go, Jordan. Congratulations. Let me say that officially. Congratulations.
And to, Miss Faith and Jimmy, congratulations. Because it's a parent.
Yeah, of course. This is just as much their victory.
And Jordan's, in case people didn't see it, he just swam. I won't tell you what happened. I'll give you a couple of seconds to figure it out. What he just did, and just prior to you coming on the program, we had two competing, swim clubs in Cayman who collaborated, went to North Carolina and competed together, right? That sort of economies of scale, that ability to join forces, unity, bringing about success, not just success in the pool, not just success at the podium, but success as a people, recognizing that we're better, greater, stronger
together,
right? I'm going to say this, and they're going to hopefully cause some people to actually, after they're offended, to just think for a second. This is why this partisan political system doesn't work. I've hired you to manage my company, but I've also hired another guy to undermine you. Because to get that promotion, he got to make you look bad. That's what this thing is about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be adversarial.
Mm-hmm.
I want that guy to support you in your role, so you can be elevated and he can be promoted and celebrated and rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
If the two of you fighting, I can fire both of you.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true.
All right?
Yeah.
So if that's political, perhaps it is.
Yeah.
But it's about coming together as a people.
Yeah.
I can't afford for my grandchildren to pay a debt that I can't afford now. And they're going to have it.
Exactly. And that is exactly what we were talking about 5 years ago.
This is
what
it.
debt are we saddled with this Capital Works project?
Yeah. But how do we get our people to... See, my father hardly says anything loudly. I'll be honest with you. Maybe because Mama is always making noise for us. She hear me say that. But he's quiet, unassuming. And despite being soft-spoken, there's a strong presence. You don't need to, trouble don't blow, shall they say.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we get people to do the right thing and stop,
I don't know. The thing is, I feel, and I'm saying this a little bit about the U.S., not just Cayman, but I feel like politics in general is very much you're either this or you're this.
But
you're either the left or the right. No, I know, but I feel like if you look back on history, it never used to be such a straight line down the middle that you're either on this side or this side. You're either with me or you're against me. I feel like communities used to be able to talk and disagree, and agree. Yeah. But they, now we're more likely to live next to somebody who agrees with us than we are to listen to somebody that might have a different point of view. Yeah. And we don't know how to argue anymore. We don't know how to talk. We don't know how to have these conversations. Mm-hmm. Because I feel personally, with the particular stance that I took with the CPR referendum, is I have family that won't speak to me now. I do. I have family that will actually walk past me and will not speak to me because of my position on this, right? And I was never against PPM. PPM was the government that was pushing it at the time, but I was never against PPM. I'm not particularly for or against anyone. I'm for Cayman. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even saying that we can't have a port, but we have to answer these questions that I still have that have not been answered. Right. And I it's hard to say because, CPR has kind of been very quiet for a very long time, obviously for many reasons. But, we have to talk about these questions that we have. Right. What money are we spending? Who is it for? Who are we developing for? Are we getting the best deal? What is this going to mean for our infrastructure? What is this going to mean for our traffic? How are we building communities? Mm-hmm. Because we're not talking about that. And this isn't even beyond, partly what I'm talking about now is beyond the cruise port referendum. We are not building communities. We don't have, right now, everybody who lives in the Eastern Districts isn't quite able to go to the same places that people in Georgetown and West Bay can. All of the activities for kids, all of the activities like the grocery shops are mostly on the other side of the island. And then you have this massive traffic. It's no wonder that they want, better traffic because they have to go to the other districts. Do you know what I mean? We have to talk about this kind of stuff. What is the quality of life that we're giving to people? Yeah. And is this particular project going to better or worsen it?
Mm-hmm. And it's not just a financial cost. It's almost, and as we shared after we came back from the break, that we took specifically at that time to watch Jordan swim. Mm-hmm. I wanted to give a few people an opportunity because, we have this technology now where they can step away and then come back and watch it then and there, even though it's a few seconds or even days after. Right? Mm-hmm. So I know a few people have done that, and we're going to announce if you don't know. But our celebration of Jordan isn't Jordan's individual success. His effort is, but it's about the collective passion and unity. Mm-hmm. And I can liken that to our discussion about anything, especially now. Government is talking, we're going to do a cargo port. Nobody's arguing that one isn't necessary and they're important. But are we, I don't want to use the word conflate because that may confuse some people, but are we going to deliberately commingle the two so that people are deliberately not sure what we're talking about?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And again, people might misconstrue or they may infer. It doesn't really matter.
Exactly. And then the other thing to say is that just because I might not be pro-port, as in I don't, and the thing is, again, I'm not necessarily saying I'm not pro-port. I'm not pro-destroying the reefs.
Okay.
That's for me personally, right? But there are other questions to it. But that's my personal thing. I do not want to destroy the coral reefs out there. And there is many reasons aside from they look beautiful and they're nice to look at. But the value that they have. And most of our oxygen is probably coming from them.
But let's run the numbers for a second and let's ask, as some have done in the past. We have a shipwreck and we have a reef. Please,
many reefs.
Yeah. Please guide me to make sure I did not misunderstand. One of the discussions, or in the discussions, it was said, we're going to take up the reef, we're going to transplant it and put it somewhere else.
Yeah, that was discussed
said
at one point. Yes,
right.
But yeah.
Okay, I love helping my sisters to dig holes because I get a little exercise to move plants and to, you ever try transplanting a tree?
A tree?
A small little tree.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and I mean, I can't remember what that guy's name was, but he came out when they had gotten to the point where the referendum was imminent and they were doing all of their district meetings about, what they were talking about doing. They brought out, I cannot remember what his name is now, but the other thing to note about that is that he is not a peer-reviewed scientist, right? Yeah.
Stake all the salesman,
it's almost, and I don't really want to, you got to be careful with what you say, but it's almost a bit like, it's not peer reviewed, it's not peer accepted, and it's something that can be done.
Right.
And also, why are we taking the advice from someone else when we have our own Department of Environment that said that it's integral?
Well, even if we do that, if you're spending somebody else's money, you're happy to waste it,
Yeah, of course.
Right. But when I'm spending my children's money, I got to be a little more careful.
Yeah.
So the reef and then the port and then the the shipwreck and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I want to come back after this break and ask you to share with us, and we're going to tell you what we saw just happen when Jordan just swam.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert, we're going to tell you. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Yesterday,
Today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market.
I'm April Cummings. Jordan Crooks comes in first in the semifinal for the 50-meter freestyle at the Olympics today. His time, 21.54. We'll have more at 6. In international headlines, the U.S. and Russia complete their biggest prisoner swap in post-Soviet history, with Moscow releasing journalist Evan Gershkovich and fellow American Paul Whelan in a multinational deal that set some 24 people free. That according to officials in Turkey, where the exchange took place. And in the U.S., the Environmental Protection Agency is issuing an emergency fuel waiver to help alleviate gas shortages in 4 Midwest states after the shutdown of a refinery in Illinois. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Cayman Islands, your opportunity to shape our future continues. All district public consultation meetings for the draft of the planning statement may be completed, yet we are still asking for your ideas. Go online, www.plancayman.ky. Complete the survey. Share your valuable thoughts before August 6th. Let's all continue to work together to move our country forward. We cannot do this without you. Join us in building a sustainable future. Let's get it right. Share your comments, thoughts, questions on the draft planning statement. This is our mission statement. First step towards Cayman's newest development plan. Visit www.plancayman.ky. Be part of the change.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM. On behalf of the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands, the Ministry of Ports is hosting a public consultation meeting to examine the options for the future expansion of the cargo port. This is your chance to share your views and shape your island's future. Join them tonight, Thursday, August 1st at Church of God Chapel in Bodden Town. The meeting begins at 6:30 p.m. If you can't make it, you can participate through the online survey, which you can access on the ministry's government page or tune in live on Facebook. Your voice matters. Be part of the conversation and help build a better future for our Cayman Islands. For more details, visit gov.ky/tourism-transport or follow the Ministry of Tourism and Ports on Facebook and on Instagram.
Summer's heating up, and so are the good times. Whether you are out on the water, enjoying the beach, or gathering with colleagues for an office bash, make it a feast to remember with Subway. From assorted sandwich platters to mouth-watering cookies, our catering menu has something for everyone. Perfect for groups of 5 or more. For food that's fresh, fast, and perfect for any occasion, choose Subway Catering. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The Council of Older Persons is proud to present the first Aging in the Cayman Islands Forum. The forum will be held on Saturday, the 3rd of August at Sir Vassal Johnson Hall at UCCI and is free to the public and open to all ages. Registration will open at 8:30 a.m. Presenters and topics aim to truly reflect the needs of Caymanians and residents, so we can all age with dignity. For more information, visit www.gov.ky/Older Persons Council.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. And as we continue our discussion with Miss Michelle Lockwood, as I know you are probably, if not more excited, certainly no less. We just saw a wonderful
My dad, let me just say this, put this in perspective for you, right? My dad is the one who built the Lions pool. That was probably 30. Well, he's been gone like 26 years, so that must have been 30 plus years ago that my dad built the Lions pool, and his mission was to waterproof every child, right? And my brother was the they changed their name, so I don't want to say the wrong name, but he was president of the Cayman Islands Amateur Swimming Association. I think they've changed their name to something to be more inclusive of the water acrobats now. So I could be saying the wrong name, but he was the SIASA president for, I think, 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And he swam too.
So swimming is very, very, very,
He's kind of like what Michael Phelps would be if Michael Phelps were handsome.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, it's very, very close to my heart. And of course, and I didn't even, I don't know Jordan, right?
Yeah.
But the pride that I feel right now as a Caymanian that we have someone going to the finals that came first in the semi. Sorry, I just spoiled that because I think he was
thanks a lot.
But sorry, he probably wanted to say that rather than me.
No,
somebody that came first in the in his semifinal heat, and is going to the finals now, and hopefully. I know maybe I shouldn't say it, but we might even have a medal for the first time ever.
But here's the thing. I know you didn't spoil it. The reason why I didn't say it was two reasons. One, I wanted our news as they did to say it, and then secondly, there's one or two people, you may or may not know them, who had to step away because we work and we have that the DVR, we can hit pause and it was like 20 seconds, right? And they could go back to it and rewind it and watch it, and that way they don't have to find out what happened.
Yeah.
But also to give people a chance, that anticipation. So Jordan's, Jillian's, Jade's, and Devontae's sort of Olympic, dream now, from the days of Carson Ebanks and prior, right, to now, it's about national pride. It's about unity. It's about us coming and celebrating together. If we can take a page from that, if we can allow ourselves, you used the word just now, argue. Many times that word has a negative connotation. But if you look at it in what it means in debate and what it means in science and experimentation, you have an argument, a thesis statement, you have a hypothesis, and that's what it's about. It's not about confrontation and division. It's not about, anyway, I'm not going to get into class today, but it's about learning. It's about coming together. It's about celebrating and to see what we can do as a people, exhibiting our pride. Anyway, let me step aside and hopefully understand the importance of why we're doing what we're doing and the need to do it. There are three things that I find to be just so egregious that there's no apologizing. Arrogance, ignorance, and insolence. And the second one, for people to understand, that means when you don't know something but you're unwilling to learn. Right? You can be indignant, right? You can even be adamant and insistent and hopefully not dogmatic, but until you see something, right? You stand by what you believe in. But, having a PhD or even an MD doesn't mean that you actually know anything more than what that thing says you know, right? But you got to be willing to explore, to understand, to try at least to get an appreciation, right?
Yeah.
And those are the three things that are so egregious. And it is so evident in so many of us because we lack humility, we're egotistical, insolent, right? Anyway, here you are, a young, if I may say, a mother, and a daughter, sister, and when we look at the Miss Georgettes, late Miss Georgettes and the like, we have an example, we have an obligation, and we have an opportunity. And what are we going to do?
Yeah, exactly. This, and like I said, going back to the timing of all of this, I think unfortunately with the way that this is timed out is that we won't be able to encourage anybody to register to vote because of the way that our system is.
No, why not?
Well, we can encourage you to vote anytime. To register to vote.
No, yes, we can.
You can register anytime, but remember, there's a deadline, and then they have to wait. I think it's like 3 months before it gets presented, and then it gets approved. So you don't appear on the register, because that was a big issue for us with the last referendum as well too. Is because they announced it on the 3rd of October, and I think that the deadline to register for 1st of January was
process.
Like 30th of September, and they had announced the referendum was going to be December, so it meant that you couldn't register any new voters so that they would be on the be able to be on the ballot to vote.
Okay, so for that then,
I think we're kind of close to that now. Even if you register to vote today, I don't think you'd get on the list until 1st of January now. I could be wrong. I don't remember.
There is a timeline. It's close.
It's like every quarter as far as I know, but I don't remember exactly what the dates are.
So it is close. So what I'm hearing you say is, and this is a reminder to me to remind people who I know, if you're eligible, go get registered to vote.
Yeah.
We know that the amendments to the elections law will say that if you're going to be 18, because that's the eligible age, right, on or before the day of election, then you can register now, and you'll be, if you're eligible and you're qualified, then you'll be okay to be on the list. You don't need to wait until you're 18 to get registered.
Yeah.
But if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying because of the vetting process and every quarter review of the published list, you register today and this referendum falls in that timeline, you'll get on the next general election or the next referendum, but you will not be able.
I don't think
in that time.
I could be wrong.
You are correct.
I'm fairly certain it's every quarter.
Yeah, it's every quarter, and
so you have to the end of one quarter to do it, and then you get on the list
on the next quarter.
Like they review it every quarter.
It's something like that. So there's a timeline.
It takes 3 months to get on the list.
Right. Okay. So let me make a mental note to say to George, to tell Mary, to tell Peter, to ask John to make sure that Simon. Yeah.
And the thing is too, right? And there were like Amplify, which kind of came out of the Cruzport referendum and CPR. They did a huge push like after to make sure that people were getting on the list to register to vote. And I do think that, we there's lots of people that have or lots of kids that have turned 18 since we had ours in 2019. So yeah, get registered to vote. And even if I don't know when the date is going to be, but regardless, get on the roll so that you're on there for the April 2025 elections. Make sure you're on the list. There's no harm in being on it.
So for
and how you were saying at the beginning, you need to participate in democracy. And there's some people that say, I'm not into politics. But politicians are deciding your way of life. So it's very hard to say you're not into politics. You might not care who you think is in there, but they are deciding every decision that affects how you live in this country.
Well, as we speak to Miss Michelle Lockwood, we do have a call online just for those.
I hope it's Shirley.
1-800-534-8255 is a flow toll-free line. Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
All right. I just wanted to call in and first of all, say thank you to Michelle and offer some support. It's me, Johan. Just wanted to, Michelle, you're doing a great job. How's the Bambino? Anyway, we can talk about that.
He's great.
You sure you can talk about that?
No, seriously, you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you for expanding the discussion to include a lot of the real issues like growth is something that is constantly being discussed, but at the end of the day, we got to have metrics and understand why we're doing it, who we're doing it for. It's primarily supposed to benefit the Caymanian people and the country in general, but how are we going to pay for it? What does it cost? And financing is always important because the last time we had this conversation about Cruz birthing, the government lied. The PPM government lied and said that effectively it was going to be for free and we weren't going to pay for anything. But nobody builds you a $300 million, $400 million anything without recouping their money. So everything that you did for us at CPR, everything that you continue to do for being so eloquent, so vocal, and being that fierce Caymanian woman that you are as your friend. Thank you. Also, thank you to our legend and hero, my personal hero, Lady Sharon Ralston. Everybody else.
Shirley.
No, Shirley.
Shirley.
But Sharon, her sister, is a hero and a legend too, right? So
both of them are. But I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
If Shirley Ralston didn't step up and put herself forward to be the face of that campaign and that fight against the lies and misrepresentation, we probably would have a half-built facility in the middle of Georgetown that would have eroded the marine environment and would have bankrupted the country because COVID happened shortly after that. But nobody builds you anything for free because there's no free lunches. But those at the core and all the persons that signed the petition, that got involved, that understood the significance of it, make sure your children are now registered to vote, as Michelle said, and let's continue to ask the questions. Let's continue to demand answers, because if we're going to have a referendum and the referendum question is, do you support cruise tourism and the building of a cruise berthing facility? That is a really loaded question. We'd like to understand what all of that entails. Yes, the answer will either be a yes or a no, but that's a loaded question where it will be a false sense of security, where the government can then say, see, we had the referendum and everybody voted, or the majority voted for yes, but we didn't understand what that yes included. So it isn't just about, do we support cruise berthing and cruise tourism? It's about, what are your plans? Because right now they're having a conversation with somebody. You don't ask this question about the referendum unless you know that there's a conversation going on in the background, and that's likely with Royal Caribbean and NCL. There's no secrets in Cayman, period, point blank. So we aren't dumb, but we need to have transparency. We need to understand what's going on. We need to understand what their vision, and more importantly, what will it cost the country? Because you can't have a port in East End that's going to cost whatever that's going to cost. You can't have the cargo, the cruise berthing thing in Georgetown, and we don't understand what the total cost of all of these things will be to the country. That's my concern. You could want a lot of things, but how do you pay for it? That's the most important thing. So again, Michelle, you're a superstar. Thank you, Sterling. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Johan, for calling in. And I wonder...
And Johan's one of the founding members of CPR too.
Right. How much of whatever is shared publicly is sufficiently critiqued publicly? Mm-hmm. And looking at it, Johan talked about no free lunches and it's going to cost. And I mean, we don't know what the future holds, or we can extrapolate, or we can do some semblance of analysis and forecasting, but we don't know that you can't unknow, you can't unring the bell, or as I say, you can't rewind the hands of time. So with that in mind, is it important not only to be decisive and make a decision, but be sufficiently invested in that decision that when you do, you're making the best decision. And hopefully, I say this with the sort of love and respect that I'm trying to. Just like you in your garden and you love this mango tree and you want to plant it, and then afterwards you go, maybe I should shift it just slightly. Yeah. Right? Or maybe, you just want to transplant the tree because of something else. If you move it, that hole that tree was in will always be there.
Yeah.
It's going to, after a rain, doesn't matter how much you try to compact it.
Well, yeah. Do you want to? Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead. I mean.
Well, the thing is, coral is a very interesting. Technically, coral isn't actually a plant, right? It's an animal. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very symbiotic relationship that happens with coral, and it also takes thousands of years to grow, right? And so we're proposing moving something, and I can't remember what the size of it was, but they were proposing moving some of the stuff to an area where coral's not already growing, right? Coral, it doesn't grow, and it doesn't grow in the north. It doesn't grow in the south. You don't find coral in the Antarctic, right? It has very specific conditions it needs to grow, right? Which is basically around the equator. So it needs very warm waters. It also needs, particular, like the way that the water rushes over it. Because if it's being bashed by waves all the time, it's not going to grow there, right? Mm-hmm. So they were proposing to move this coral somewhere where it wasn't growing. If coral's not already growing there, maybe there's a reason.
But it also said, we're going to try it. We're not quite sure. I mean, nice language, but we got to check it out. And in the process, was it about 60 million or so we're going to spend just to see if it'll work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think the thing is with that whole idea of transplanting the coral, I think that was just to kind of appease the idea that they were anti-environment, right? I think that was what that was for. It was like, oh no, we're not anti-environment. We aren't gonna destroy it. We're gonna put it over here. And it's like,
is that how you interpret that?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I looked at it and go, really? You think you were born at night, but it wasn't last night?
Yeah.
I think that was just insult to injury.
Oh, for sure. I definitely think it was, but I do think that was, sort of a way to sort of say, no, look, it's going to give us all of these great things, but don't worry about this part. This is the part you're worried about. But that's the thing. People sort of determine that you're only against things. And there were a lot of people that are against the cruise port for environmental reasons, right? And solely for environmental reasons. But there are a lot of people that have environmental concerns, infrastructure concerns, financial concerns. There are people that only have the financial concerns. You know what I mean? Like, we have to think about this as a whole and how we're developing for the whole of Cayman.
If I might ask, and not to put you on the spot, but I want to ask this question. Please feel free to weigh in. Do you think that as a populace, right, voters in particular, because those are the ones that have that right, if they're registered, to exercise a vote, whether it's a referendum or whether it's a general election or otherwise, do you think there was sufficient, accurate, timely information about the financial, the environmental, all the other considerations that we could, if we were so desirous, go figure it out for ourselves and access this information to assess it? Do you think that was in the domain, and if so, sufficiently enough time to go? I mean, was there enough information? Is there enough?
No, there wasn't enough information. I mean, the government at the time said that there was. And there's, to an extent, governments are supposed to make decisions with the information that they have that we're not always privy to, right? That's why you're voting in these people, because you're hoping that... Because there are some things that they have to make decisions on that we can't always know every information, right? But
I'll argue about that, but okay, fair enough.
Okay, but like, if you look at it,
I hear you.
If you think about it in a grander sense, like the president of the United States, he has tons of information that he has to make decisions about whether or not they're going to attack this or attack that, right? Which is some information the general population shouldn't have.
The reason, go ahead.
This is a slightly, you're right. It's not quite as like. As momentous as a thing as that example that I gave. But I do think to an extent that's kind of why. I don't think that means that you can't participate. Right? I do think that you should participate in democracy, and I do think that means that you should still question as much as you can. But to a certain extent, I do believe that you have elected politicians, and there's certain times that they have to make decisions that we're not going to know.
And that's why we have elected them, as you said. We have the trust in there.
But I do think that we do, in this particular instance, we have the right to know what is going on and why we're being presented with this now under the circumstances. And we need a lot more information. You've now announced that we're going to have something by the end of the year. I mean, everybody's going on the basis that we're talking December. But what if he's talking about in 2 months?
Yeah.
He just said by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Something could be coming in 2 months.
It's quite different than soon come. Miss Michelle Lockwood, we have 2 callers.
Okay.
Respectfully, let's join these callers. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you today?
Okay, man, and you?
I'm very, very thankful, man. It's a great day. It's a great day.
Hey, Dwayne. And good afternoon to you guys too.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We're concerned the port. Captain Paul and a lot of our other elders have warned about building that port, cruise port. And just before they had the referendum, there was a bad storm that put some containers overboard by the port. And then we had the coronavirus, which we did not get not even one cruise ship, which was another sign not to build that port. We have to be thankful for the amount of cruise ships we're getting now. And we also have to remember that if we dredge in the Georgetown area where the port is, the sea surge will only get higher. And any politician that approves the building of that port are going to regret it, because from common sense, it tells me that the sea surge will get so great that the water could probably reach as far as McDonald's. So the business community in that area have to stop trying to force the government into building this port, because they're going to regret it. And the insurance companies that have these places insured, these buildings insured, they are not going to be happy about the results either. So don't continue following these cruise ship people, forcing us to destroy our reefs, to destroy the central of Georgetown, and trying to threaten us about if we don't build no port, they're not coming here. I really respect that woman that really go into court and think about this, that way I say woman, I really respect her,
Miss Shirley Rolston.
I wish she was a politician.
Me too.
All right.
And Gina Petrie Ebanks, it's sad to see how they disrespecting that woman after she went to school, to university, to protect the environment of the Cayman Islands, and they continue to ignore that woman.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thanks for listening and for sharing, and I believe we can take one more call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling, and good afternoon, Michelle.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
What's happening, man? How are you?
Hey, listen, I had meant to call in earlier, but I didn't get a chance to tune in until a few seconds ago, so I thought I would catch the tail end of the show. Michelle, thank you so much for always standing in the gaps and filling those spaces and having the bravery to at least come on the radio and continue to advocate and voice your opinion. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say this, right? Because clearly, I have kept my hand on the pulse and my ear to the ground throughout the years, through COVID and all of the other stuff that the last caller just mentioned. But here's what I would just like to share, and I would just like to continue to advocate. Number one, the only reason that we have cargo and cruise on the same wharf today is because we made a choice by government to do so. Because when I worked immigration in 98, 99, 2000, that was not the case. The South and the North Terminal have been shut down now for the last couple of years. And ever since we built the Royal Watler Terminal, we have transformed our cruise terminal into the mini Falmouth, where all of the cruise passengers are now forced to go through the Royal Watler Terminal merchant, and they have it gated off. The only reason why you see all of those tour buses parked on our cargo port, because yes, there is an argument to say, okay, we might want to upgrade our cargo facility and we want to enhance our cruise passenger experience. Yeah, that might be a very valid argument from all sides. But what we're forgetting is that we have deliberately deprived the south side of Hawkeye Bay from having the foot traffic that it normally used to have over the years, when people could disembark at the South Terminal and walk and go into Bayshore Mall. We're now seeing the effects of that by Atlantis Submarine not reopening. Hard Rock Cafe has since locked down, and multiple businesses along that corridor are struggling simply because we have redirected the traffic, the foot traffic of people who comes into Georgetown, and then the other people are on pre-booked tours and are going out of town, loading up on the buses, making a left-hand turn at the port gate and headed out of Georgetown. You can't revitalize Georgetown by systematically killing Georgetown based on government's decisions, because we can argue until the moon turn purple about they can't coexist. We might all agree, but why would we stop the essential goods from coming into our island so that we can accommodate $10 US a day spenders who don't need to be on the port? Those buses could park at the old Tower Building site. We can reopen South and North Terminal, where the tenders can come in on multiple locations along that waterfront, and they wouldn't have to go on the cargo port. and we wouldn't have to cease operations for cargo while cruise ships are in. Can you imagine food and medicine got to stay offshore while Royal Caribbean and Carnival and all of the cruise lines enjoy the luxury of using our port, not our cruise berthing facility, you know? I mean, not our tender facilities, because all of the terminals accommodate the tenders. And to the other caller's point, talking about, cruise is going to pass us by if we don't build this. It's a pile of foolishness. There is a legal document contracted between Royal Caribbean and Carnival that they would have tendered their mega ships. They had even bought infrastructure and you see the offices down at CDC on Portland Road in Industrial Park. Those mobile offices that Customs have out there, or Port Authority have out there now. Those were the offices that were built, that was bought to accommodate, and they were supposed to get double-decker tenders in order to accommodate. So again, we are being told that these are all of the reasons why we're doing it, trying to justify it. I want to know what's stopping the Minister of Tourism, what's stopping Klein Glidden Jr., who is the chairman of the port, what's stopping them from reopening the South and the North terminal, ensuring that people are being offloaded on those locations so that businesses along that corridor can reap the benefits. So the merchant class people didn't even realize, especially those on that south side, didn't realize that they were fighting a fight that was against them. They were fighting to put a cruise berthing facility so they could have had upland development on the pier, and those people would have never intervened and walked around in the Georgetown area. They would have never seen a dollar from any of those people, because it would have been designed that they come off on the pier, they go into the shops on the pier on the upland development, then they get into buses and go to all the pre-booked tours, and every store owner on the outside of those gates would have been deprived from having the foot traffic. But yet, here we are now having series of meetings in the districts, and I waiting for them to come Bordentown tonight. You know, I didn't go Georgetown for a reason, you know, right? I waiting for them to show up in Bordentown, because I got asked every one of them, how come the North and the South terminal is closed? And they can't tell us because the cruise lines are afraid of liability. So you telling me that the cruise line would rather their passengers get on a bus next to cranes and containers as opposed to going to a properly built structure, which is the South and the North terminal, in order to accommodate tenders? Nobody can tell me this afternoon, that this is the reason why we don't use those terminals. And we got to stop letting the cruise lines call the shots. And I'll leave you all with this. And Michelle, sorry for taking up so much time.
That's okay.
I will leave with this. And Michelle, you know this better than anyone, because we were all part of the same initiative to stop this thing, right? I have been asking for a carrying capacity for the last 5 years. How are we gonna say we can take 30, 40, 50,000 more people a week when we don't have the infrastructure to accommodate? So we need to understand what our carrying capacity is. We need to allow that capacity to be at its maximum, and then if it's at its minimum, we give the best experience. And we need to work along the guidelines of information that we have, not information that we're going to get along the way. You know, we need to establish a quota before we allow a quota to come in. And that's how I see it. So I can just say this to Kenneth Bryan. I agree that we should have our referendum because we fought hard and long and everybody donated their time to do it. I was always upset that we didn't get our referendum, you know, because I finally want to put this thing to bed, you know. But we got to change the terms and conditions since they're changing the date. We got to say, listen, once we vote on it now and we vote it down, not in the living, breathing humanity that they ever rise this issue ever again. Once we vote it down now, you can't ever bring it up again. That's the end of that. And that way, we don't have to worry about it. We can sleep good at night knowing that our great-grandchildren never have to fight this fight. Yeah. Anyway, guys, enjoy your rest of your afternoon. I'm sorry for hogging up the mic.
Well, thanks, man. And from the word of mouth himself. Hey, thanks. Talk to you soon, right? All right, Miss Michelle, to you, to Miss Shirley, and to others who want to come on. And in case people don't have an inkling, to those who have either an opposing view or not quite sure what they want to say, we want to make our platform as accessible to all.
Exactly.
And if they want to come on together and have point counterpoint and cross discussion, that's fine as well. But if they want to do it separately, we just want dialogue and a semblance of.
We want information too.
Yeah.
My side wants information at least.
There you go.
Before I know we have to. I know.
I know, but he's a good guy. Yeah?
One quote, the quote that I was paraphrasing earlier. I want to say it verbatim because I think how he said it is actually quite good. It was Mr. A.C.E. Long in a legislative assembly in 1969, and he said, "We do not wish to be controlled by commercial enterprises, big developers, or other people interested in developing the island. Our duty, honorable members, is not to make money. Our duty is to be responsible and protect the 10,000 people who live in these islands who will not be aware of the detail of what is happening, who rely on us here to see that they are not exploited and that their land is not wrongly used."
Mm-hmm.
So, do you see what I mean when I say it's a really potent quote?
And he was an administrator before they were called governors.
Yeah.
Appointed by the UK to, in today's language, to be part of ensuring good governance.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a mantra that if we...
It's a very good quote. When I found that, I was like, it's good that somebody was thinking that way 55 years ago. It's unfortunate that it didn't translate along the way to all the governments of the past. But
well, I liked when the then U.S. President Reagan, with his Russian counterpart, President Gorbachev, Reagan would say, trust but verify. Dobanaya, no problemaya, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to do more of that.
Yeah.
And we need to stop allowing the tail to wag the dog.
Yeah.
We got to stop, and when you see the booger man, the dapper come and boo, and frighten you. Mom always says, dapper who are frightened. We got a lot of people who, because of their position or their presumed prestige that they may have personified, people, because of the pay and all of the stuff, may feel at that time they probably are empowered. But end of the day, they're just flesh, blood, and bone.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes some people need to be chastised and put aside and reminded that if you are called, right, you have to appreciate that with that comes a sense of a responsibility.
Yeah.
The true accountability you have to ensure the civility of the rest of us for generations. So Mr. Rankin's comment that we put to bed and never ever come. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree. If this is going to happen,
right,
then it needs to be put to bed.
Well, enjoy. I think Jordan races tomorrow.
Yeah, 1:30, I think.
Tomorrow. All right.
I'll see you back to watch again.
Carl, say again, my friend. Okay, so no, you're not coming tomorrow. Friday. Tomorrow.
I want to be in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
watch it with
you can come back in. What we have.
Just to watch it.
Yeah, it was a good atmosphere. Right?
It was, right?
Yeah, better than a sports bar.
It's like watching it with your Caymanian.
There you go, man. And let me.
Yeah.
So join Mr. Art tomorrow morning for the record. We have Kenneth Clytus Ebanks on the show talking about the Planned Cayman Initiative. Going to reach out to him to make sure that still can work. That's our schedule for tomorrow. Thanks again for everybody. And if you haven't seen, the earlier discussion with those fine young people, please go back and, Miss India made a comment. I'm going to ask her news to have a look at it. 12:43ish. The intellect, the insightfulness, man, just amazing what she said. Thanks, Paul, for it. Thanks to everybody. And God's willing, tomorrow will be another day. I'll save my comments. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.